At first, I thought it was the wind, the kind that rattles old windows and sighs through tree branches. But this sound was steady, mechanical, almost deliberate. It vibrated through the walls, subtle but insistent, like a warning whispered too close to the ear. Still half asleep, I dragged myself to the window and peeked out. The street was empty, washed in the cold glow of the street lamp. No cars, no movement, no sign of anything that could be making that noise. But then I noticed something. The neighbor's porch light, always on, was flickering like a dying firefly. And the shadows around it didn't look right. They moved, slowly, independently of any light source. The humming grew louder. I stepped back from the glass instinctively, heart racing now. That was the moment I realized I wasn't alone in the room. Behind me, the floor creaked once. I turned around. Nothing. But the air had changed. Heavier, as if something unseen was holding its breath, waiting for me to notice. And that was the last time I ever doubted horror stories. At first, I thought it was a transformer, maybe a bug stuck to the window. But the white light slipping through the curtain slits told a different story. It wasn't the warm amber glow of a street lamp, nor the sharp flash of lightning. This light was cold, clinical, almost sterile. It moved slowly, casting long, shifting shadows across the walls of my room. My breath caught in my throat. Curiosity overpowered caution. I tiptoed to the window and gently pulled the curtain aside, just enough to peek through. There, hovering silently above the cul-de-sac, was something I couldn't explain. Smooth, metallic, and impossibly still in the air. It wasn't large, but it hummed with a deep, resonant vibration that I could feel in my chest. No markings, no blinking lights, just that blinding white glow emanating from its underside, washing over the parked cars and manicured lawns like a full moon turned cruel. Suddenly, all the lights in the neighborhood flickered and went out. My room was plunged into darkness except for that light, that unrelenting, watchful light. And then, just as suddenly, it vanished. No sound, no movement, just gone. I stood there for minutes, maybe more, waiting for something to happen. But the silence that followed was even more terrifying. Now, every night at 3:00 a.m., I find myself awake, listening, watching the slits of my curtain, wondering if it will come back or if it's already inside. I pulled the curtain aside with 2 fingers, and there it was. A drone hovering still, frozen in time. Small, black, with slowly pulsing red lights. It made no sound, not the usual whining buzz I'd expect, just silence, as if the air around it had been muted. The lights pulsed in a slow, deliberate rhythm, almost like a heartbeat. It was staring at me. At least, that's how it felt. I know drones don't have eyes, not really, but there was something about the way it floated there, perfectly aligned with my bedroom window, that made my skin crawl. It wasn't delivering a package. It wasn't surveying land. It was watching. I took a step back, heart pounding, trying to make sense of it. Who would fly something like that here, in the middle of the night? My street is quiet, ordinary, a place where nothing ever happens. The lights blinked once faster this time, then again. Without thinking, I grabbed my phone and raised it to take a photo. But the moment I opened the camera, the drone jerked backward, shot straight up into the sky, and disappeared behind the clouds in less than a second, like it had never been there. I checked the footage. Nothing, just static. Now, every time I pass a window, I feel it, that same pressure in the air, like something is watching from just beyond the glass, waiting. And the worst part, last night, I found one of those red lights on my windowsill, still blinking, but something was off. It made no mechanical sound, no rotor noise, just the deep hum, like a low frequency vibrating inside my skull. It wasn't loud, not in the traditional sense, but I could feel it, like pressure, like the air around me was tightening, compressing. My thoughts started to blur, like trying to think underwater. I pressed my palms to my temples, trying to shake the sensation, but the hum only grew stronger, more insistent, like it was burrowing into me. I looked again through the curtain. The drone, if that's what it even was, hadn't moved. It just hovered there, perfectly still, defying wind and gravity. Its red lights had stopped blinking. Now they glowed steadily, a dull crimson that felt more organic than artificial. Less like an LED, more like something alive. I took a step back. That's when the walls began to vibrate faintly at first, then with increasing intensity. Picture frames rattled. The lamp flickered. I stumbled, reached for the nightstand, and knocked over a glass of water. It shattered on the floor, but I barely noticed. My ears were ringing. My vision tunneled. And then silence. The hum stopped. The lights went out, and when I looked again, the drone was gone. But I swear, the room still pulsed with something I couldn't name. Like it had left a residue in the air, a presence. My ears still rang. My hands wouldn't stop trembling. I didn't sleep that night. I haven't really slept since. Because whatever that thing was, it wasn't just observing. It was listening. And now I think it knows my name. I stepped back. And as if it noticed me, it moved slowly, smoothly adjusting its angle, like someone tilting their head to get a better look. There was something disturbingly human about the gesture. Not curious, not threatening, just aware. The red light on its side pulsed once, then again, slower, rhythmic, like it was measuring something or thinking. I felt the air shift, heavier, charged. Every instinct told me to walk away, shut the curtain, forget I saw it. But I couldn't. My feet were planted, my breath shallow. I was locked in a silent standoff with a machine that shouldn't feel this sentient. Then it moved again just an inch forward, toward the window. Not fast, deliberate. My heart was pounding now, every beat syncing with the pulsing light. That's when my phone buzzed. I flinched, eyes darting to the screen. No number. Just one word in the notification banner. Look. When I looked back up, the drone was gone. But the window was open, and I never opened it. I tried recording it with my phone, but the camera wouldn't work. Just a black screen. Nothing responded. My hands were sweating. I tapped the screen again. Locked. Frozen. I pressed the power button. Nothing. The battery had been at 72% just minutes ago. Now, nothing. No light, no vibration. Dead. I glanced back at the window. It was still there. Hovering. Watching. I checked the signal. No bars. No Wi-Fi. No emergency calls. Just a hollow, no service message where connection should be. It wasn't just the phone, it was me. I'd been cut off from the world. The silence was thick now. No cars. No wind. Not even the distant hum of a refrigerator or the creak of pipes in the wall. Just that faint, ever-present hum coming from the thing outside, a vibration that I didn't hear as much as feel, deep in my chest and behind my eyes. I tried to move, to step back again, but my body felt sluggish, like I was wading through something invisible and heavy. My limbs didn't respond right. My fingers were tingling. Then the lights flickered. Once, twice. Out. I stood there, swallowed by the dark, the faint glow from the curtains the only illumination. My own reflection looked back at me in the window glass, but behind it, just barely visible, was something else. Something stepping closer. Inside. I went to the door, planning to go out, confront it, or at least yell. But the doorknob turned loosely. The lock wasn't engaged, yet the door wouldn't open. It didn't creak, didn't budge, just held firm, like something on the other side was pressing against it, holding it shut. I tried again, harder this time, jiggled the handle, shoved my shoulder into it. Nothing. It was like trying to push against a wall. My breath quickened. The hallway light flickered above me, casting brief, jagged shadows across the floor. The silence outside was unnerving. No footsteps, no wind, not even the hum I'd heard before. Just a suffocating stillness, as if time had paused everywhere but here. I pressed my ear to the door. At first, nothing. Then, a sound. Soft, deliberate. A long, slow inhale. Something was standing on the other side. Breathing. Listening. I stepped back, suddenly aware of how exposed I was in the hallway. I turned to run, to grab my phone, to do something, but every light in the house went out at once. Total darkness. And from behind the door, I heard the sound of the knob turning. This time, from the outside. My heart was pounding out of rhythm. Too fast, too hard, like it was trying to outrun what I couldn't see. I ran back to my room and threw myself behind the bed, chest pressed to the floor, trying to disappear into the shadows. My breath came in short, ragged bursts, and I bit down hard to keep quiet. The drone's light crawled across the wall like a searchlight, slow, methodical, sweeping from corner to corner. It wasn't random. It was looking for something. For me. I kept my eyes on the light as it crept higher, then dipped low again, passing just inches from my hiding spot. The glow was cold and unnatural, bleaching everything it touched into a pale, ghost-like gray. When it passed over the dresser mirror, the reflection didn't match. The room in the mirror looked different. Wrong. I saw movement there, something slithering along the ceiling that wasn't in my room. I froze. The light paused. It had found something. Not me, not yet, but close. The beam hovered over the closet door, as if studying it. The knob twitched. Just once. And then I heard a new sound. A soft, almost electronic click, followed by the unmistakable creak of the closet slowly opening on its own. I buried my face into the carpet. I didn't want to see what was inside. I just listened, breathing. Not mine. And the hum, that awful, low frequency, was now inside the room with me. That's when I heard it, a click. Subtle. Precise. Like something being triggered. Not a natural sound. Not wood settling or pipes groaning. This was intentional. Mechanical. Like a trap being sprung. I held my breath. Seconds later, the light simply vanished. No fading, no movement, it was just gone, swallowed instantly by the darkness, like someone had flipped a switch. The room felt heavier without it, the silence deeper, as if the absence of light had sucked the air out too. I waited, straining to hear anything, a footstep, the drone's hum, the creak of the door, but there was nothing. Not even my own heartbeat. For a moment, I thought I'd gone deaf. But then I realized I could still hear one thing, the faint ticking of my wristwatch. Steady. Normal. Too normal. Like it was the only thing that remembered time was still moving. I slowly lifted my head over the edge of the bed. The window was black now. No light outside, no stars, no street lamps. Just an endless void pressed against the glass. Then I noticed something else. My phone, lying face up on the carpet, lit up for the first time in hours. A single notification pulsed on the screen. Connection reestablished. I reached for it with shaking fingers, but the moment I touched it, it went black again. And from somewhere just beyond the window, I heard a new sound. Not a hum, not a drone, a knock. Once, twice, then silence. I spent the rest of the night in silence. Fear left no room for sleep. Every creak of the house, every gust of wind against the window felt like it could be the beginning of something. The drone, the knocking, the strange hum that still echoed in my mind, they all blurred together, twisting into a nightmare I couldn't escape. When the sun finally rose, its weak light barely touching the edge of the sky, I got up. My body felt stiff, drained, but I couldn't rest, not yet. There was only one thing left to do. I rushed to the living room, my feet heavy on the floorboards, and grabbed my laptop. The external camera I'd installed weeks earlier for security, I told myself had been my only hope. The footage would prove I wasn't just losing my mind. I plugged in the drive and waited as the files loaded. The screen flickered, and then the first video appeared. The timestamp confirmed it. 3:00 a.m. I pressed play. For the first few minutes, nothing seemed unusual. The camera showed a clear view of the front yard, the empty street, the street lamp casting its lonely glow. But then, the air seemed to change. The footage warped, as if the camera itself was struggling to stay in focus. The trees in the distance began to sway unnaturally, moving in patterns that didn't match the wind. And then it appeared. A shadow, not a person, but something darker, more formless, like a distortion in the air itself. It hovered just at the edge of the frame, impossible to identify, as if it were testing the boundaries of reality. The timestamp blinked 3:01 a.m. I leaned closer to the screen, heart pounding in my chest. The figure moved, jerking unnaturally, and as it crossed into the frame, the camera's night vision kicked in, illuminating the yard in a faint green glow. That's when I saw it, not just the shadow anymore, but something else. A drone, small and black, with pulsing red lights. Just like the one I'd seen, but now. It was hovering just outside the view of the camera, only visible when it shifted slightly, as if it was trying to stay hidden. I froze. The drone, the shadow, they were there. But that wasn't the worst part. The footage didn't end there. The camera continued to record, and then something new appeared on the screen. A shape no longer human, standing just beyond the yard. It was hard to describe, as if it was constantly flickering in and out of existence, like it couldn't decide whether it was real or not. It was watching me. I hit stop, my hands shaking, and sat back, staring at the blank screen. It had been there, the whole time. And now it knew I had seen it. There was something. Just a few seconds. The drone appeared, hovering silently in front of my window, its red lights flickering in the dim morning light. But something wasn't right. I stared at it, heart racing, trying to focus. I thought it was just my mind playing tricks on me, the exhaustion, the fear. But when I glanced at the reflection in the glass, everything shifted. In the window, the shape wasn't a drone anymore. It was hunched, skeletal, disturbingly human, a twisted silhouette that leaned at an unnatural angle, its long, spindly limbs stretching and contorting like something from a nightmare. Its body was thin to the point of emaciation, skin pulled tight over bone, and its head was too large, with hollowed-out eyes that seemed to watch me with a chilling awareness. The reflection didn't move in sync with the drone outside. It was as if it existed in a different plane, a moment out of time. The drone hovered steadily in the yard, but the shape in the window twitched, jerking its head in unnatural, quick movements. Its mouth opened, but no sound came, just the feeling that something was trying to speak to me, something I wasn't supposed to understand. I felt my throat tighten. My breath hitched, but I couldn't tear my eyes away. I was rooted to the spot, unable to look anywhere else. And then, as if it had finally noticed my gaze, the shape in the window grinned. It wasn't a smile. It wasn't human. It was a stretch of jagged, broken teeth that seemed to mock me from the other side of the glass. I took a step back, but the reflection stayed. The drone outside stayed. Both of them locked in their places. And in that moment, I realized I wasn't alone in this house anymore. I hadn't been for a long time. The next night, I stayed awake, locked everything, lights off. My eyes didn't leave the window, my fingers tight around the edges of the blankets. The air felt too still, too thick, like something was waiting, watching. At exactly 3:00 a.m., it came back. I heard it before I saw it. A low, unnatural hum, like the sound of static building up in the air. The kind of noise that makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. I held my breath, every instinct screaming at me to look away, to hide, but I couldn't. I turned my head slowly, my heart already pounding, and there it was. The drone, hovering just outside the living room window. But this time, it was closer, much closer. Its red lights flickered faintly, but it didn't move the way it had before. It didn't dart or jerk. It just hung there, suspended in place, almost as if it were studying me through the glass. And then it started moving again. But this time, the sound was different. It wasn't the usual mechanical hum. No whirring of rotors, no buzzing. This time, it was a dragging sound, slow and deliberate, like fingernails scraping against glass. The noise scratched into my skull, an intrusive, horrible sound that made my teeth ache. I could feel it vibrate in my chest, deep and low. I swallowed hard, my breath caught in my throat. The drone's red lights reflected off the glass in jagged streaks. It was so close now that I could almost make out its shape clearly, but the more I looked, the more it felt wrong. It wasn't just a machine. It was something else. Something that shouldn't exist. The scraping sound grew louder. It circled the window, inching closer to the edge, dragging against the glass like it was searching for a way in. I backed away from the window, my legs unsteady. My pulse was so loud in my ears, I could barely think. The lights in the house flickered once, twice, then went completely dark. Total silence. But the drone didn't stop. It hovered right outside, right there, its lights still pulsing in the dark, casting long shadows into the room. I heard the scrape again, this time right at the edge of the glass. Closer. And then a soft, almost imperceptible voice whispered just below the hum, "Let me in." The TV turned on by itself at first. There was nothing but static, the kind that fills the room with a faint crackling hum. It wasn't loud, but it was enough to make the hairs on my neck stand up. I didn't reach for the remote. My body was frozen, eyes locked on the screen, my pulse pounding in my ears. And then the static cleared. For just a second, it was like a normal broadcast, flickering images, distorted voices. But then it changed. The screen warped as if the image itself was fighting to stay intact, and then it stilled. A frozen frame. It was me, sleeping. But the angle, it was wrong. It was from above, like the camera was hovering in the air, watching me from a vantage point I couldn't remember setting. The room was dark, the only light coming from the dim glow of the nightlight by the door. My eyes were closed. My body still. I didn't remember being recorded. I didn't remember anyone being in the room. The image lingered for a moment, and I felt my throat tighten, my stomach twisting into knots. My hands trembled as I reached for the remote, desperate to turn the TV off. But before I could press a button, the screen flashed again, the image shifting. It was no longer just me in bed. There was something standing beside me, a shadow tall and thin, its outline blurred but unmistakable. It leaned over me, its head tilted at an unnatural angle, just inches from my face. Its presence was suffocating, like the air had thickened around me in the room. I could see the darkness of its figure contrasted against the dim light of the room, but its features were distorted, shifting in ways that defied logic. It didn't belong. It wasn't supposed to be there. And then the screen went black. For a long moment, there was only silence. I stood frozen in the dark, the cold weight of fear creeping up my spine. That recording. I never made it, and I wasn't the one who watched it, but someone or something had. Eu corri para fora do quarto, mas parei para lasado. A porta da frente estava totalmente aberta. Aquela porta sempre ficava trancada. Eu tinha certeza disso. O medo já tomava conta, mas fui forçado a dar passo adiante. A porta dos fundos também estava aberta, balançando suavemente, como a brisa da noite, semum sam seeker. Meu estômago se apertou, e uma sensação de lida percorreu minhas costas. O que estava acontecendo? Quem mais tinha entrado? Eu dei passo hesitante at a cozinha, os passos ecoando pela casa silenciosa, como se a própria casa me estivesse observando. Foi então que vai. No piso da cozinha, em pleno show de cerâmica branco pegadas, pequenas, malhadas. Como se algo tivesse andado descalo pela casa, com os pés medos. Agua que dixavam para ter es refletia a luz fraca da lampada, cada impresso claramente visível. E não eram marcas de adulto. Eram pequenas demais delicadas, de uma criança. Minhas pernas fracturam. Eu estava sozinho, não estava. Não havia mais ninguém na casa, ou pelo menos eu pensava que não. Eu me agachei, observando as marcas, tentando entender o que acontecia. Cada passo parecia ir direto ao corredor, para o meu quarto. O meu coral baixia com tanta fora que parecia que a qualquer momento iria explodir no peito. O som das batidas era tudo o que eu conseguia ouvir, mais alto que qualquer outra coisa. E então, de repente, eu ouvi algo. Em cima, no andar de cima, pequeno barulho amarelo, como se algo estivesse se movendo. No era o som de uma criança correndo, mas algo mais suave, mais intentional. Como se estivesse tentando se mover sem fazer barulho. Eu fiquei imóvel, respirando de forma pesada. O medo me paralisava, mas eu sabia que eu precisava agir. Correr. Enfrentar o que estava ali. Mas antes que eu pudesse decidir, uma risada baixa e infantil ecoou, vindo do andar de cima. Era o som de uma criança brincando. y estaba muito mais perto do que eu imaginava. I ran out of the room but stopped dead. The front door was wide open. So was the back. I hadn't heard anything. I hadn't seen anyone. Yet there they were. The doors standing wide open, inviting something in. The silence of the house felt wrong now, like it was holding its breath. My heart pounded in my chest as I walked cautiously into the kitchen. And then I saw them. On the floor, clear as day footprints. Wet. Small. Barefoot. It looked like a child had walked through the house, leaving traces of water on the tiles. They were perfectly defined, the water still pooling around them, like whoever had left them was just here. I crouched down, my pulse quickening, but I couldn't stop staring. The prints were too fresh, too deliberate. The footsteps led in a path that curved through the kitchen, then disappeared into the hallway. I followed them, my legs trembling, every nerve screaming for me to turn around and leave. But I couldn't. Not yet. I took one step after another, and with each footfall, the weight in the house grew heavier. The air thickened, as if the walls were closing in. Then I heard something. A soft giggle. It was faint, but unmistakable. It came from upstairs. I called the police. They came, looked around, checked everything. They walked through the house, their shoes echoing in the silence, their flashlights scanning every corner. Nothing was taken. Nothing was damaged. Everything appeared normal, except for the unsettling feeling that still lingered in the air, the one that weighed down on my chest and wouldn't let go. One of the officers, a young guy with a bored expression, shrugged and laughed as he examined the front door. "Probably just a toy drone," he said, shaking his head like it was the most logical explanation in the world. I wanted to argue, to explain everything the way the drone hovered too perfectly still, the way it made no sound, the strange reflections in the window, the feeling that something else was watching. But what could I say? What could I prove? A toy drone? I thought back to the way it glided, how it moved like it knew exactly where I was, like it was studying me. A toy drone didn't do that, but I didn't argue. The officer had a point at least in his mind, and who could blame him? There was no evidence to support anything else. After they left, I sat in the living room, staring out the window, trying to make sense of it all. That's when I heard it again. The faint hum. The same low vibration from the night before. It was back. And this time, I didn't need to see it to know that whatever it wasn't just a drone. On the third night, the humming started earlier. 2:50 a.m. I was already awake, my nerves on edge, anticipating the inevitable. The house was eerily quiet, but that hum, that deep, almost imperceptible vibration filled the air, creeping into my bones. It was different tonight. Closer. I slowly crept to the window, dreading what I might see, but unable to stop myself. When I looked out, my breath caught in my throat. There were 3 drones. They hovered in the sky, forming a perfect triangle, their dark shapes silhouetted against the night. The red lights that usually pulsed from them were gone. All of them had their center lights turned off, making them almost invisible in the dark, save for the faint outline of their bodies against the starless sky. The eerie hum seemed to grow louder, vibrating through the glass into the walls. It wasn't like the mechanical whir of a normal drone. This was something else. A constant, low-frequency hum that seemed to twist and distort in the air, like it was trying to communicate, to pull at something buried deep inside me. I stood frozen, watching the drones. They didn't move in unison. Instead, they shifted slowly, subtly, as if they were adjusting their positions in response to something or someone, as if they were waiting for something. And then one of them moved. Just a fraction, a tiny shift. It wasn't the sudden movement of a machine. It was too smooth, too deliberate. It almost felt intelligent. My heart began to race. There was no way this was just a coincidence. Whatever this was, it was different. And it was too aware of me. I stepped back from the window, my pulse hammering in my chest, but the hum didn't stop. It seemed to be growing, pulling closer, as if the drones were converging on the house. I backed away, knowing I needed to do something, anything, but unable to move. Whatever they weren't just watching anymore. They were waiting for something. For me. Suddenly, everything inside the house shut down. The lights flickered once, twice, and then went out completely, leaving me in a suffocating darkness. My phone, my computer, the refrigerator, all of it dead. The house was silent, except for the low hum that still seemed to pulse in the walls, vibrating in the deepest corners of the space. And then a whisper. "Are you ready?" It came from the hallway. Soft, breathless. So close it felt like the words were being whispered directly into my ear, even though I was alone. My body froze. Every muscle locked in place. I didn't breathe. The air felt heavy, pressing against my chest. My mind screamed at me to run, to move, but I couldn't. I was rooted to the spot, my heart pounding so loud I was sure it would give me away. The whisper came again, closer this time, like it was stepping right into the room with me. "Are you ready?" I wanted to scream, to shout, to say something, anything. But the words caught in my throat. The sound wasn't from outside. It wasn't from the drones. It was here, inside, in the house. I slowly turned my head toward the hallway, my eyes straining against the pitch blackness, trying to make sense of anything, any shape, any movement. But there was nothing, just the void. And then I heard it. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate steps coming closer, dragging across the floor. Not from the outside, not from the drones, from inside. The air grew colder, the temperature dropping so quickly I could see my breath in the dark. The whisper came again, now just behind me, like it was in the room with me. "Are you ready?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. And then the footsteps stopped. Silence. Complete and utter silence. And then a low, guttural laugh echoed from the hallway, sending a chill down my spine. It knew I was here. It knew I was listening. And whatever it was, it wasn't going to stop. When the lights returned, I blinked, disoriented by the sudden brightness that flooded the room. My eyes adjusted, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted, that the house, the very air felt different. And then I saw it. Something was lying on the hallway floor. A letter. Thick cream-colored paper, folded neatly in half. It wasn't there before. I was sure of it. There was no way I'd missed it when I was standing in the dark, frozen in fear. I moved toward it, cautiously, every step slow and deliberate. My breath caught in my throat as I knelt down to pick it up. The weight of it in my hand felt off, like it was too substantial for something so simple. I unfolded the letter carefully, my fingers trembling. Inside, there was only one thing written, a single handwritten line, scrawled in thick, uneven letters that seemed almost too deliberate, too personal. "You've been chosen." The words felt like a punch to the gut. I stared at the paper, my mind racing, heart pounding in my chest. Chosen for what? By who? There was no return address, no explanation. Just those chilling words, as if they were meant for me, like they'd been waiting for me specifically. A sudden coldness washed over me, and I looked up toward the hallway. The air felt thick again, heavy, like something was lurking just out of sight. My pulse quickened as I stepped back, clutching the letter in my hands, eyes darting around the darkened hallway. That whisper, the footsteps, the drones. It was all connected. This wasn't random. I was no longer just a witness. I had been chosen. But for what? I haven't slept since. I can't eat properly. Every time I try to, the food sits in my stomach like a stone, and I can barely swallow. The fear gnaws at me constantly, hollowing me out, leaving me more exhausted with each passing day. Each night, they get closer. At exactly 3 a.m., I can hear the humming again. It's not just a noise anymore. It's a presence. A weight in the air that makes my skin crawl, that wraps around me like a suffocating blanket. I can feel it coming before it starts, like a pulse that surges through the house, telling me I'm not alone. At first, it was just the drone. It hovered outside my window, watching me, always so still, so unnatural. But now, it's no longer the drone watching me. It's what came with it. I don't know how to describe it, but every night at 3 a.m., I hear it. The sound of something moving, not the soft hum of the drone, but the scraping of footsteps on the ground, slow, deliberate, as if it's savoring the silence before it approaches. The floor creaks in the hall, and I can hear it, feel it, something out there, just outside my door, waiting. I don't dare open it anymore. I don't dare look. But last night, I did. I was too weak, too desperate for answers. I thought if I could see it, if I could confront whatever this thing was, maybe I could stop it. I pushed the door open, just a crack, my breath shallow and panicked. And that's when I saw it. A shadow, long and unnatural, creeping along the walls of the hallway. It wasn't shaped like a person. It didn't have a face. It was just darkness, a moving mass of black that seemed to pulse with an energy I couldn't comprehend. The air around it shimmered, distorted, like a mirage in the desert. And then it turned, slowly, almost like it sensed me watching. The next moment, the shadow vanished. But the hum didn't stop. It grew louder, closer. I slammed the door shut, my heart hammering in my chest. I haven't dared to leave my room since. I don't know what it wants. I don't know what it is. All I know is that it's coming for me. And every night, it gets closer. And now, as I write this, I notice a reflection on the laptop screen. At first, I thought it was a trick of the light, the way the dim glow from the screen flickered in the dark room. But no, it's there. In the reflection, just over my shoulder, someone or something standing behind me. My heart stops. I don't dare look. My fingers hover above the keyboard, paralyzed. The room feels colder, heavier, like the air itself has thickened, making it harder to breathe. I can feel it, the weight of it standing there, just out of view, waiting. The humming, too, is louder than ever. It has shifted. It's no longer just a low vibration. Now it's a constant, unrelenting buzz, ringing in my ears, shaking the walls. The sound is so intense, it feels like it's coming from inside my head, pulling at my thoughts, distorting my perception. I can't escape it. I try to move, to glance over my shoulder, but my body betrays me. It's like something is holding me in place, trapping me here. I know I should look. I know I need to know what's behind me, but a primal part of me is too terrified to turn around. The reflection in the screen shifts slightly. I think I see it move. And then, that whisper again. Are you ready? The words come from right behind me, so close I can feel the breath on my neck. My skin crawls, a cold shiver running down my spine. I can't breathe. I can't move. The air is thick, suffocating, and the hum is becoming too much. I force my eyes shut, clenching my fists, but the whisper keeps coming, a steady rhythm that's as much inside me as it is in the room. Are you ready? I'm not sure how much longer I can hold on. Every night, it gets closer. Every night, the humming gets louder. And now, the reflection. It's not just watching me. It's waiting for me to turn around. But I can't. I won't.